Minds podcast. I'm Matt Burke. You're watching and listening to the Liberties #1 podcast. You up the Liberties, you up the flats. On the show today, I'm joined by Francie Mc Guigan. Francie, what's the crack?
Just life goes on and that's it. Nothing further to do. Just still waiting on some result from the Hooded Men case.
Okay.
We've been in court since 2014. We've won every case, and still the case hasn't been investigated by the RUC or BSNI or whatever they're called today.
I am in Belfast today. Francie Mc Guigan is one of what's known as the Hooded Men, 14 men that were taken in by the British government, the British Army, back in 1971. So I want to talk to Francie about that story. It's absolutely horrific. It was himself and 13 other people were I believe to be tortured. And Francie's going to share that story with us, and I'm excited and I can't wait to do it. So Francie, tell us a little bit about life right now. What's going on for you?
I'm retired now. I've been retired now about 10 years. I'm coming up to my 75th birthday next January. And basically, most of the time enjoying life.
Most of the time enjoying
Most
life.
of the time.
So
I still would have bad days in relation to the hooded treatment, nightmares, days where I don't want to get up out of bed, or nights where I'm afraid to go to bed, because I've seen something on television that set me off again, or read something in the paper that set me off, or just something, and the slightest thing can set you off, and that's it. You're going to be in a bad time for 2-3 days. I saw me here in this house, not opening them blinds for 7 days, not getting dressed for 7 days, wouldn't answer the door, wouldn't answer the phone. And family knew when I got like that, leave him alone. Okay. Just, he's having a bad time, let him go, he'll come out of it himself. Friends and neighbours found it a bit strange, but I explained to the neighbours now, so there's a couple of very good neighbours here with me now, for instance, and if they don't see my blinds open, they'll know there's something up, and they have a key to come in, and times it works and times it doesn't.
Okay, brilliant. Before we get into that, let's go back a little bit. Tell us a little bit about life back in the 70s, where you grew up before all this started, if that's okay.
Before, I go back to, I was born in 48, so you had, I grew up sort of in the 50s. Among my earliest memories of that period of time, from a political sense, was I remember my mother lifting me out of bed at a sort of 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning for the RUC special branch to search the bed, turn the mattress upside down, throw the bed clothes on the floor, turn the mattress upside down, and do that. It was, at that stage, I think it was 7 children in the house, Mommy and Daddy, a 2-bedroom house. And that was just sort of every 3 months. My father used to get arrested and he'd be away for 3 or 4 days and then released, and that continued on up, right up, and then that it's referred to as the border campaign stopped in 61. I got arrested coming out of school when I was 14 years of age by Special Branch, whom I knew from raiding the house. And held for 24 hours in Brown Square Barracks in Belfast here, and questioned who caused the house to visit your father, what did it talk about, did you ever see guns in the house? And my friends now had seen me getting arrested, and I said, go and tell my mommy, the Special Branch have arrested me. And she went round all the different police stations, including Brown Square. No, he's not here. Well, we don't know where he is, and are you sure? And and then just released me 24 hours later. I'm the eldest of 7 children now. Each member of my family have been in prison. The only ones ever sentenced were my mother, who was twice sentenced. First time for wearing an illegal uniform, which consisted of a beret, and carrying an offensive weapon, which was a hurl at a protest. The second time was for assaulting police officers, hurting a neighbour, and the neighbour was about 5 foot, just about 5 foot and about 4.5 stone. Two of them were charged with assaulting senior police officers. The first time Mommy got sentenced, she actually got 6 months sentence for wearing a illegal uniform and 6 months bail, 6 months probation. She refused to sign a bail bond. So the 6 months she was third in relation, so that was up in June or July, I just can't remember which. The second 6 months she had to serve, she served it 6 months to the day. She was released on the 28th of December. Now, most prisoners, well, anybody who's due for release, I think it's some sort of from early January, are released mid-December. My mother was held over the Christmas period.
Wow.
And at that particular, when I was arrested for internment, my mother was in prison. I was arrested for internment, my father was arrested. My brother Sean was arrested 3 or 4 days later. So that meant that Mommy and Daddy and the 2 oldest in the house were all in custody.
And what were they arrested for?
We was at internment.
Just randomly taken off the street, did you see any connections with?
In the prison. That was it. That was my father's 3rd time to be interned. Over the years, he was deported out of England in 1939 as an undesirable. You know, so that was the atmosphere I grew up in. Prior was generally referred to as the Troubles, sort of 69. Earliest thing that I've been involved in and that sort of thing was what they call the Divis Street riots. And that was the elections in 1964. Sinn Féin at that stage were a banned party, they were illegal. So Republicans started as Republican clubs. And the candidate in the Falls area was Billy McMillan. And he had an office in Divis Street. And he put a tricolour in the window. And nobody passed any remarks. Until a reverend gentleman called Mr. Paisley notified this and kicked up merry hell and told the RUC, if you don't go and take that flag out of that window, I'll organise a Protestant march up and we'll take it out. So the RUC duly turned up the next day with sledgehammers and crowbars, smashed the window, took the flag out. The flag was replaced within an hour. The broken window was replaced, and Mr. Paisley called again for it to be taken down and organised a protest at the City Hall with the intentions of the protest organ up and taking the flag down. In the meantime, the RUC arrived to take the flag out, and this time there was a crowd had gathered to stop the RUC doing this, and resulted in what's called the Divis Street riots, which lasted, I think, it's about 3 days, and they didn't get the second flag. You know, so things like that. I joined the Republican movement in 1964, shortly after the Divis Street riots. And at that stage, the Republican movement was becoming more politicised, like get involved in community groups, tenants associations, you know. I got involved with a group that done a survey on housing in Belfast, West Belfast, parts of South Belfast. And we done a survey and discovered that the worst housing conditions in Belfast are actually in Sandy Row, which is 100% Protestant loyalist, whatever you want to call it. So we tried to meet a group of people from there, and we just told them no. You know, we're grand, we're all right, we don't need you, don't you come near us. And
they have the Queen.
they have that, they're British and they'll be looked after and that's.
Wow.
And then we got involved then too in housing in the Lower Falls. They had started to build Divis flats at that time, and the housing conditions in Belfast are very poor, like no hot water, no indoor toilets. So we kept pushing them. A lot of the flats are ready to be occupied, but they weren't putting people in. So we occupied, and we said to families, if you want, we'll put you in and we'll protect you. So we brought in families and put them in. And that got great publicity now from television and newspapers and that. But it still didn't change that. We still then tried to go to contact the people in the Shandy Road, but still, no, we weren't interested. So eventually then they opened up Divis Flats and let the people in, and that area has since, needless to say, been all redeveloped. But during that period, among the early things that there was 1966, the 50th anniversary of Easter Rising, was a big thing here in Belfast. And again, Mr. Paisley objected to it and kicked up about the march going up right up the Falls Road and that. And shortly after that, there started to be explosions going off in different places, like power stations. And these were all being blamed on Republicans, and Republicans weren't doing them. And I also know for a fact the authorities knew it wasn't Republicans, but didn't do much about it. And Paisley was always on constantly about these people and this must be stopped and that. And that went on until one of his colleagues was killed in an explosion in Donegal. I think it was a power station in Donegal. He was killed, a fellow called McDonald. He was killed there. So of course Mr. Paisley says I didn't know he was involved in anything like that, about knowing that, nothing to do with him. So that then was what we called the Battle of the Bogside. This is where the Orange marches to come through Derry and march through nationalist and Catholic areas with their drums and their sectarian songs. And it happened to us here in Belfast. Like, I remember Belfast, where I lived in Ardoyne, we were locked in on the 11th night and weren't allowed out till a sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock on the 12th night. Let them facilitate the marches all going down past Ardoyne Chapel and that. But anyway, in Derry, the people objected to the march and went out to protest against the marches. They were battened by the RUC, they fought back, and you had a 3-day riot in Derry called the Battle of the Bogside. And I remember people from Derry ringing up to Belfast, do something to get the pressure off us. So we then started a riot here in Belfast, and they did in Armagh and Uri and round nationalist areas to try and take the pressure off the police in Derry. The result was the British Army were called in then because the RUC and B Specials couldn't control the situation. And then on the 15th of August here in Belfast, it got very serious then. The RUC came out. The first thing was the RUC came out then in a short-line armoured car and opened fire on the block of flats in Divis Flats and killed 2 people, one young lad, 9 years of age, lying in bed and was shot. And he was on the 7th or 8th floor. And there was a British soldier, home and leave, McCabe his name was, he was also killed that night. And then you had what's called the burning of Bombay Street, where the loyalist mobs came along there with petrol bombs, armed, and policemen in the middle of them come along, and they burned most of Bombay Street. At the same time they were burning houses in Ardoyne and different places. They were putting Catholic families out. And that basically was the start of what is commonly referred to as the Troubles. And while it was 52 years ago, things haven't changed that much. Just there's not the bombing and shooting, but the political stalemate still exists. Like, for instance, we've no executive here because of a protocol, that they call it. With the protocol, by the way, the economy here in Northern Ireland is better than the economy in what they call the UK or Britain, and their trade has improved greatly. They can trade with either Europe or the UK, but they have a psychological problem of checks in, and they have with the Irish Sea border. And it's a psychological thing with them, where this border doesn't let them be full British citizens. And I don't think the British government gets 2 hoots about them, or us, or any of us, you know. And I think the people in England, if were given the choice, would throw the whole ticket away as they're going, you know. So that was that, and that carried on then for about 2 years, to August 69, August 71, the introduction of internment. And I had been at Croke Park that day with my father and a couple of friends of my father's. And I wasn't living at home at that stage. But by the time I got around and dropped the other ones off and dropped my father home, went into the house for a cup of tea and went to leave, there was a gun battle on there down, which was quite common. The local IRA volunteers are having to go with the British Army and they'd be sniping back and forward.
You say it so calmly, like a gun battle, like it was on the west. Would they be shooting at each other?
Oh, aye.
Fuck me.
But that was a common occurrence.
The way you say it, like it's fantastic. Like your memory and your storytelling is incredible.
There's so many things that are very hard to forget, like, you know.
That's what I'm sitting here going, your memory's impeccable. That.
But you do that. I remember going out and trying to leave, and some of the boys saw me and said, "No, hang on, we'll give you a shout about 6:30 in the morning. We'll carry on here till about 2:30 or 3 o'clock. The Brits will pull back and they'll come in the morning about 7 and raid." They knew that the whole modus of it, the way the whole thing worked and and on. So I went back to the house then and went to bed. And I know you're going to think that's strange, a gun battle's going on, you know.
Like it becomes the norm. Like the way murders nowadays, you see the paper and you flick by. That became the norm. Actually, they're just out there shooting at each other.
You know, so, and then I, about 3:30 in the morning, waking up this horrible pain in my stomach, sat upright in the bed to discover a British soldier standing at the butt of a rifle, and he just stopped me, and 2 other boys standing at the bottom of the bed with their guns pointed at me. Gripped me, dragged me out of the bed. You're under arrest. I went to get dressed. They only allowed me to put on a pair of trousers. Nothing else, no shoes, socks, vest, nothing. With a pair of underpants and that. And they're taking me out of the house at the same time they're taking my father, who by the way is over 60 at this stage, and they're taking him as well. And my father's dressed in his night clothes, so I met 3 British soldiers taking me and 1 soldier taking my father. So my father just doesn't assist in any way, like he just goes limp. So they're dragging my father along the street, and I can see this as I'm being placed into the back of this army lorry, and I notice neighbours of mine, also they're all petrified. And I'm looking back, and this soldier's dragging my father, he's holding one arm, he's dragging the father. And the officer shouts, "Leave him, we'll get him later." So the last thing I saw was my father lying in the street as this lorry's turning out of the district, down into Kirkwood Barracks. And arriving in Kirkwood Barracks, which is the military barracks at the back of Cumberland Road Prison, and brought into this gymnasium. And I noticed about 60, 70 other people there, some of whom I knew, some of whom I hadn't a clue who they were. I knew one man who was 72 years of age at that time, Billy Mulholland, he was there. A lad called Peter Fern, whom I knew, who was blind. Some of the faces I recognised and some I hadn't a clue. And brought in, made sit on the floor and told no talking. And as that time progressed, different people were getting arrested and they were filling up all the time. I eventually finished up, I think it was about 200 in the gymnasium or somewhere near it. And every now and again they'd come in and take you out for interrogation. And these interrogators, I never seen them before, didn't know any of them. Now, you were brought out by special branch men whom you knew, like a Harry Taylor and that, they would come in and take you out. And they would sit back, but these other boys, I didn't know them at all, never seen them before. And they would start questioning you and that there, and you sat looking at them and pick a spot in the wall, look at it and ignore them totally. So that would go on for an hour or something, then take them back to here. But during this time they were taking out lads in groups of 4 and 5 at a time, taking them outside, and they'd helicopter outside. And they put these lads in a helicopter and they'd lift the helicopter up and turn it round and up and down and up and down, and then throw the boys out. The boys hadn't a clue what height they were at, but they're only 2 feet off the ground, less even. So while they weren't supposed to talk, they can back in, what happened, you know, they'd be telling us so, and around everybody knew what was happening. And then also boys would come in, you see, and among the later ones arrested, you see, the whole place had gone mad, they're shooting everywhere, there's so many dead. And there were a friend of mine, Francie Mc Guigan, who'd been killed in Ardoyne. I sort of figured out this is internment, but why have they got so many people here? Because they have to know that 95% of these people have no involvement in anything. You know, one neighbour of mine, they arrested him, they were looking for his brother, but the brother wasn't there, and they said, all right, we'll take you instead. So that went on for 48 hours, and he'd be taken out for interrogation back in. I remember the first night they brought in these camp beds, give you a camp bed and a blanket, and told you to sleep. Let us sleep for about 3.5, 4 hours, and then get up, take the camp bed off you. Give you a bowl of cereal and a cup of tea. I think we one meal that we had, big bowl of cold stew. And that was it, constantly taking people out for interrogation and back in again, out and into the helicopter and up and down and that. And that was just it for the first 48 hours. And they had us all sitting in single files in rows in the gymnasium. And they came along then, would be the Wednesday morning sometime. And in groups of 6 took them out. They'd be out for about 10 or 15 minutes to come back in, take the next 6, and they came to me and they took 2 on that side of me, skipped me and 4 there, and went on and took them out in groups of 6 but left me sitting there. And right round that whole hall, doing that until they left 2 people in the gymnasium, myself and a lad called Joe Clark. And then a provost marshal came in, and it was the military police that were in charge of Kirkwood Barracks. So he came in, he says, right now you bastard, it's my turn. And he instructed the soldiers to take him. So they took me out, him holding me by the hair. He had photographed of me now, they stripped me down, took the trousers off and underpants, me in the nude, and him holding me by the hair, posing for photographs. And then says, right, bring him back in. So they brought me back in and brought me in this small room with 2 RUC men and a British soldier, and put me on one of these camp beds. And you know, what the hell's going on? You know, what's this? Like, this is different. Where they put it, I reckon they're taking the rest of the lads over to Crumlin Road Jail. They just knocked a hole, there's a wall that divides Crumlin Road Jail and Kirkwood Barracks. They just knocked a hole in the wall and brought the lads through there. And in there, Kirkwood Barracks is adjoining the New Lodge Road, which would be a nationalist area. And while I was in that room with a camp bed, I could hear gunfire going off, I could hear explosions going off. And this went on for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was just starting to become daylight. And they come in, took the hold of me, right, come on. Brought me out to the door of this, and as they're doing that, they're handcuffing me behind my back. And I look down and I see 3 lads that I know, Joe Clark being one of them, Kevin Hanaway and Jim Auld. And at that they're putting a hood over my head, and somebody hits me an unmerciful thump in the small of the back. And I go down onto my knees and they lift me back up again. Take me down then, they'll take the handcuffs off it, but they handcuff me to somebody else. Taken out and into the helicopter. And right away you're saying, this isn't what they're done with the rest of the boys. The boys weren't handcuffed, they weren't hooded. What are they doing? So we went into the helicopter, and the helicopter took off. And again, you don't know, but now it turns out it was about 40 minutes, but we hadn't a clue how long, because your mind's not concentrated, you're trying, what the hell's going on, what they're doing, and you do this thing, what they're going to throw us out of the helicopter. You know, you'd all these different thoughts going through your mind. And then the helicopter appears to slow down a bit. And there's air compression doors in this helicopter. They're opened. The handcuff, and I'm handcuffed, whoever's beside me, is taken off. I'm handcuffed in behind my back, picked up by the shoulders, taken over the door and thrown out. And it turns out I'm caught. But for that split second, from the pick me up by the shoulders, I know I'm going out of the helicopter. Don't know how high it is. And whenever they get the push, but it's that, and I'm caught. What goes through your mind in that period of time? So then I'm taken and carried in to the building, and physically carried in. And put down, the hood's removed, the handcuffs are taken off, and there in front of me is a small man with a white coat and a stethoscope, and gives me a 30-second medical examination, opens their mouth and say and put the stethoscope in my chest and just nodded. Didn't say anything, just nodded. And then the hood's placed back on, the handcuffs are taken off, the trousers are taken off, and my underpants are taken off, and then placed into the boiler suit. That is about 4 sizes too big, thankfully. Some of the boys got boiler suits that were too small. So, and then taken from there and brought and placed against the wall, fingertips and toes. Now, and I say fingertips, I'm talking like that, and up on your toes, and well stretched out, and the small of your back pushed in, so you were bowed. And so I'm not having this, so the only way off the wall was just sort of take it down the gut and down onto the ground, kick, battered, back up again, fingertips, toes. So I went through that about 4 or 5 times, refusing to stand, get kicking and battered. So I said then I take a rest from this to stop the battering and see what happens. Still can't, what's going on, what are they trying to do, what's going on, what are they trying to do. Why is this never happened here before? And I have a fair idea in Irish history, this sort of thing. Standing against the wall, and I started to notice this noise, was described and called white noise. And there was this high-pitched noise that sort of takes over your brain. And I've always described it, it always appeared to come in through my hair, down through my body, and out through my toes, and back round and in through my hair. But as it went through your body, it touched every nerve and sinew in your body. Down to the point where it occupied your brain, it took over. The only thing that you could think, this noise, what's this noise, what are they trying to do, what's going on? And this room would be fairly warm, fairly hot. You'd be sweating, and you'd be trying to get a good breath with this hood over your head, which is totally black. You couldn't see anything, you couldn't see light or anything in it. And I remember then there and heard this shouting and screaming and thumping, and I assumed it was a friend of mine, Kevin Hanaway, whom I had seen in the corridor. And I remember thinking to myself, Kevin's having a go at him, I better give him a hand. So I come off the wall down, trying to get the hood off, get the hood halfway up, I'm on the ground and kicked, battered back up against the wall. So again, still hear the screaming going on, so I still trying to get the hood off to give Kevin a hand. It later turns out that we were all in a single room. So the noise of the screaming and fighting and that was actually pumped in with the sole intensity, I now say, of intimidating us or scaring the living daylights out of us.
Psychological.
And it had the opposite effect. Because each one of us had heard the noise, thought it's one of the other boys, I better give him a hand.
They thought you was the crack.
We thought this would frighten living daylights out of us and we'd crack with it.
Yeah, fuck that.
And it's just, it's amazing the way your mind works. You know, that on them. So back up against the wall, finger that day. At no stage do I remember being taken off the wall, right? My first recollection is being taken along a corridor, concrete floor, because I had no shoes or socks on, but the instep of my feet, I later discovered the skin was gone off them through being dragged, and I'd be limp like that, and soldiers taking me in, bring in and place me in a chair, handcuff the hands behind the back and remove the hood. There's 2 tables, 2 lights shining at me. Now it didn't blind you, but they reduced your vision a bit. And and two boys interrogators question you, and one fellow walking up and down behind you, and every now and again he'd clap your 2 ears, or he'd hit you a slap, and again he'd lift the handcuffs up and pull them, and you're going up like this, and they would proceed all these questions. You're in the IRA, who do you know in the IRA? You done such and such a thing, and you shot so and so, and you blew up such and such a place, and I'd have done 5%. I would have thought that I'd have been a one-man army. Rambo would have had nothing on me. And that would go on for an hour, and then we'd take him back to the music room. They're determined. They called it the music room. Take him back to the music room. So you were back up against the wall, and just sheer physically collapse. And as I say, during that 7 days, at no stage did I ever recall being taken off the wall. I'd come to somewhere else, I'd been dragged along the corridor. Used to come to every now and again handcuffed to this 4-inch cast iron pipe that was freezing, and you're lying on the concrete floor.
So you basically lose consciousness.
You'd lose consciousness.
It gets so bad, and then you'd only remember waking up when you're somewhere else.
You didn't waken up. You waking up because you were told not to sleep. You were told not to sleep.
But really, you're unconscious. You're probably just.
So they take you back, take the handcuffs off, back out and up against the wall. And that was it for 7 days. Now that boiler suit that I described as putting on me at the start, that was your day clothes, night clothes, and your toilet. We were denied use of the toilet. Out for interrogation, back up against the wall, come to the 4-inch pipe. I remember this other interrogation. They brought out and name, address, yes, give them at Jamaica Street. What's this happened to Jamaica Street? One said the other one, what's the big explosion was for 70 or 80 people killed? And you're saying, look, the guy lived in Jamaica Street, you know, did that really happen? You know, and what sort of an explosion would kill 70 people? And you're trying to take all this, and they're shouting questions at you and accusations. And again, back to the music room, you're up there against the wall, the noise, and you're thinking, this is 70 people killed. And there was my dad killed, you know, younger brothers or sisters. And then you sort of just come to cast iron pipe again because just you blanked out. Another interrogation out in name, spell that was.
Pardon?
Spell your name.
What, Matt?
No, me, they're saying to me.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
Spell your name for us. See, the fella's writing, could you spell that for me, please? So I spelled Francie, I went to spell Mc Guigan and made a mistake spelling it. Don't know what the mistake was, but I knew that's not the way you spell my name. So I kept trying to spell my name, and I'm doing this out loud. M-C-G-G-G-U-G. That's not the way you spell it. And I'm at this, and this must go on for 5-10 minutes, me trying to spell my name. And then I'm saying, we know how to spell it, it's all right, we know how to spell it. You're okay, you know how to spell it. Just for your own sanity, count up to 10. And then I'm thinking, I'm not counting to 10. What happens if I can't count up to 10? What happens if I can't count up to 10? I can't spell my own name. What's happening now? And this time I'm only in interrogation about 5-10 minutes and I haven't actually questioned me at all or said anything. The next thing, look, take him away and let him think about all this. Your mind's starting to go, think about all this now. Take him away and let him think about all this.
Oh.
So they bring me out, they handcuff me to a cast iron radiator, you know the old cast iron radiator, they handcuff me to one of them, put me on a mattress, not the concrete floor. Every other time the concrete floor you're on, this time I'm on a mattress. And this is where I'm to think about it all. And as they're leaving me on the floor here, now you're not to sleep, you're to think about this. You're not to go to sleep, you're to think about this. And but I don't know where it was for 4 hours or 30 seconds. Door burst open again, you were told not to sleep, picked up, bang, out, up against the wall again. And that was it just for 7 days, you were either up against the wall, in for interrogation, or handcuffed to the cast iron pipe. And during all that period of time, each one of us suffered hallucinations. Now, though we have no evidence whatsoever to point to anyway, we believe that we were given hallucinatory drugs, but we've no proof on that. But just the fact that we all had these hallucinations. Each one of us, not just that some of us had and some, every one of us had these hallucinations. Paddy Joe McLean, for instance, watched his own funeral. He's away above everything, he's watching down the funeral and he's checking on who's at the funeral and this. I have this situation where I'm handcuffed behind my back and I'm in agony, but I'm sitting with a crowd of friends of mine who have all keys for the handcuffs, and none of them take the handcuffs off. And I don't ask them because I shouldn't have to ask them, I should know to take these off. And used to do this thing regular during interrogations. You fool, you're sitting here, your mates are all upstairs having a feed and having a good time, and you idiots still sitting here. And then they would start to question you again. And you know by the questions they ask you and the accusations they make, if the boys upstairs are talking and telling them everything they want to know, they would tell me, just to prove it, how good they were at it. That this habit, most interrogators, I think, the same. They get this thing where they know something about you that they're not supposed to know, and they tell you, and that's to destroy your confidence. But that backfired on them as well. And at times you would spur, but most of the time you would get stubborn or think about it. Fuck yes, you know. I'm not going to let you get the better of me. But then there used to be these periods where, I don't know what's to spur, but you believe that, I still to this day believe that, I was doubly convinced that we're not getting out of here alive. They are not going to let us go to tell the world what they've just done. Whenever they're finished with us, they're going to dump our bodies or blow us up or shoot us or whatever, because with different people coming in, there was bodies found here and bodies found there, and there's so many dead and there's explosions. So, doubly convinced that the end, when this is finished, when they're finished with death. I remember in our time coming to the cast iron radiator again. I remember bashing my head off it to try and, I don't know, was to kill myself, knock myself out. And the only thing I done was bust my head and the blood run down into my eyes and into my mouth, but I can't even wipe it off. So give that idea up. And that was just basically it for 7 days.
Did they not feed you? No food, water?
One bowl of cold stew during all that time. Tell you about the water.
In 7 days?
7 days. Now, they say that we got bread and water every day. None of us recall that. I recall one occasion getting bread and water and one bowl of the same cold stew that we got in Gertrude Barracks. But I remember at one occasion against the wall, somebody drawing 2 circles on the back of my hand. I feel there's 2 circles in the back of my hand. You know, what are they doing this for? What are they doing that for? So during one of these interrogations, one of the early interrogations, the hood taken off, and there in front of me is this big mug with the blue and white bands around it. And on it is the number 8. And I'm saying, it wasn't 2 circles, it was a number 8 that drew in my hand. And I couldn't see my hand, like. And in this thing, you can see beads of water. Did you ever see that? Some of them ads for beers, that and the bead running down the outside of it. Now, we reckon this was the 2nd or 3rd day away. And one of these boys lifted the spoon out of the water and put it in my mouth. Just a damp spoon. And it was just unbelievable that water coming in, because you're hooded and you're dead. And they started to say then, they asked questions now, whenever you answer the questions, you can get your drink of water. So of course, there, don't get the answers to one this after about an hour, and this one's found something, he just lifts it back with his hand, and bang, and he hits the mug. Thump. Mug goes flying, smashes against the wall. I remember thinking, I got the better of you, boy. You know, and you had wee moments like that you felt good, and fuck you saying, I'm going to get you, I'm going to beat you, you ain't going to do this to me. But then you had the despair periods as well, like, you know. It's I have documents there. We have 58,000 documents in relation to our case that we have got through Q in London. But we've also discovered, excuse me, that there are 14 boxes in a place in England called Hounslow that's not open to anybody. But once a year they bring in historians and academics to look through a particular period of history. And there was one journalist and author who was in there and discovered these 14 boxes in Hounslow and gave word to our legal team. And we have yet to see what's in these boxes. But the 58,000 pages that we have go into great detail about the whole thing. This was discussed at British Cabinet. Lord Carrington seemed to be the man pushing it. Lord Balneil, I think his name is, he came over to visit the place to see what it was like and how this was going to be inducted. The other instance thing, they come over to Ireland in April 71, went to Ballykelly. The documents there to prove it. To redesign these units, that's what I would call the cell where each one was were in. And I had 22 RUC special branch officers to train them in the interrogation methods, how to conduct the interrogations. And they done all that, trained them all up and got them all. I said, look, to the point in the RUC special branch said, before we do this, we want to be granted immunity. We want guaranteed immunity, which was granted. So what did they know? Why did they need immunity for? They weren't going to be breaking the law. So you have things like that that was laid out. That was joint intelligence services that were training them. Now, again, can't prove. We also believe that they were present during these interrogations and during that whole week to see how we are. I would also think they were foolish if they hadn't psychologists or psychiatrists there to watch and see. They also say that we were medically examined daily. None of us have any recollection outside that first 30-minute examination. But yet and withal, they had the medical files of nearly everybody there. Kevin Hanaway, for instance, suffered from Raynaud's disease from childhood. They were fit to tell him that. Sean McKenna suffered badly with angina. They were fit to tell Sean that, but they still took him through it. And they've always maintained, you see, there's no after effects of this is grand, but yet with all, they released 4 men out of Long Cash into psychiatric hospital, for psychiatric treatment, were released out of jail into psychiatric treatment. You know, what do they need that for? It's only the hooded men that were released like that. So, that went on in it. The Irish government took the case to Europe in 1972. They took it for the European Commission, took it first, and the European Commission examined the whole case and out and said, yes, these men were tortured. They went to the European Court of Human Rights, who, after deliberation on it and talking, they said it wasn't torture, it was degrading and inhumane treatment. Which, by the way, today is recognised as torture. But then it wasn't, so I don't know why it changed on Wednesday or Thursday.
Fuck's sake.
So, they then came out where it wasn't torture. I remember at the time, attending a press conference in Dublin when this came out. Now, I knew absolutely nothing whatsoever about these cases in Europe. Nothing. wasn't called as a witness or anything else. Or I think it was two of the lads, like Paddy Joe McLean and Pat Chivers, both there spoke as well. I think they only spoke though at the European Commission and not at the European Court of Human Rights. So we were called this press conference, like, what do you think about this? Wasn't charged to be humane treatment. And you can get the Irish Times on it, it's there, where I'm quoted as saying, I think this decision by Europe is totally political. I think this allows governments throughout the world to take citizens from their bed or off the street and torture them. And it will not be torture, be creating humane treatment. It's a political decision. Now, it's since been proven right. Guantanamo, Abu Ghraib, black sites. George Bush, when he was challenged on the torture thing, no, it wasn't torture, it was the same as the Ireland UK, degrading inhumane treatment. Israel has used the same excuse, and has Brazil. So, then what's 2013, I was on a friend of mine, Peter Corning's solicitor, and Peter said, Francie, you were one of the hooded men. He says, well, would you not try and get that case opened again? He said, because it was a false verdict. I said, I'd love to, but how do we go about it? He says, would the rest of the lads be in it? I said, I don't know, but I've been meeting them all over the weekend, because we used to meet up regular. We met up regularly after 40 years. So I put it in the voice, oh yes, definitely. So they come up to meet us then, met out at this place out in Lurgan. But it's only discovered that we can't take the case to Europe. We have to ask the Irish government to take the case to Europe. So we asked the Irish government, we'd like you to appeal this case to Europe, because we think that the verdict was wrong. The Irish government is saying, no, we can't do that. You know, we need fresh evidence. Then there's a programme about on RTE, the torture files, which they produced, what's called the Meese-Rees memo, and other documents that hadn't been. So we then went, the Irish government, there's new fresh evidence, there's never been out before, I'd allow you to open the case. So they decided then, right, and from you discover the new evidence, you have 6 months to the day to get it out. So after about 6 weeks, our solicitor kept ringing the Attorney General, well, there's no decision yet, right? And a week before the case, as you put in the lodge the appeal,
6 months was running out.
There's a week left, still no answer. So our solicitor then took the case into the High Court in Dublin, appealed it, and the Irish government come up and arguments back and forth, and that adjourned to the next day, that brought it to Monday. The case must be appealed before Wednesday. So we go into court on a Tuesday morning, and they agree then, right, we'll appeal the case.
Okay, why did they, what was the...
But they only made the decision, as far as we're concerned, they only made the decision that day.
Why? What was the hold up?
I don't know, but
Sounds suspicious.
They were playing politics, because that same evening on the news, they're interviewing Charlie Flanagan, who at the time was Minister for something. He was Minister for Foreign Affairs. And they asked him, how will this affect the UK-Irish relationship? And he said, oh no, that's all taken care of. He says, I explained all this to Theresa Villers 2 weeks ago. So they had made the decision, but wouldn't tell us. And we had a meeting then with Simon Coveney about taking the case. And he said, well, this was prior to that decision. He says, well, I can't, while I'm the Minister for Foreign Affairs, it's a cabinet decision to take the case, not mine. And I remember a few days before, for some reason, my passport, and I'm reading on the page 1 of your passport, you can have a look at your own when you get home, the Irish government requesting that other governments protect and assist the bearer of the passport on behalf of the Irish government. Words to that effect. So I took the passport down to Dublin with me. And when Simon comes, I hang on a second to get my passport. You know one of these are, they're issued by your department. Oh yes, he says, yes. I said, do you ever read one? Oh yes. What's it saying on the bottom of page 1? And he looks at it too, and I said, I'll read it to you. So I read it out to him. I said, now you're asking that other governments protect me. You haven't protected me, and you're not giving me assistance. But you expect some other government, you expect Australians, Americans, somebody else to do it, and you won't do it. You know, and just fold it up and put it back in the pocket. And he was just sort of dumbfounded. And then he says, well, look, it's not my decision, it's a cabinet decision. But eventually they come out and agreed to take the case. But Europe looked at it and said no. Any new information you have there, we believe that the first case where it was heard in the European Court of Human Rights were aware of all these details. And these details were only published maybe 30 years later, you know, 40 years later. Just threw it out. But it turns out now, we now can take the case to Europe because we've exhausted all local remedies, though they've done nothing about it. As I said at the start, we got our solicitor in 2014. They asked the RUC or PSNI what was the result of their inquiry into our allegations, and they said we didn't have an inquiry. And we said, well, it's just new evidence. So they sent somebody to Hugh in London for 2 days and come back and says, no, we couldn't find any evidence. But yet, well, we have 58,000 pages. And we know there's documents like, we have documents there where it'll give you, and please refer to document such and such and such a number. We haven't got them.
No, you know, was missing.
So we actually, in the courts, we got the court then to Teresa Villiers was Secretary of State at the time. The court had asked her to forward the documents and she hadn't done it, so the court then gave her 7 days. We're giving you 7 days to produce the documents. So they produced some documents and said that's all there is. Didn't mention the documents in Hounslow. So we took the case then to the High Court in Belfast, and they said yes, the case must be investigated, but not by the not by the PSNI, because someone could be ex-RUC men or family members could be ex-RUC. It must be an independent inquiry. Because if this happened today, it'd be torture. So the PSNI appealed that to the appeal court in Belfast, which is the highest court in Belfast. They sat on it for 4 days, listened to all the evidence, came back sort of 15 months later and upheld Justice Maguire's things. Yes, it must be investigated, but not by the PSNI for all the same reasons, and that this happened today to be torture. So the PSNI then approached John Boucher, who was running the Canova investigations and the steak knife and that, to see would he do the investigation. And he said he would. Made approaches to our solicitor, and then all of a sudden informed, no, stop, we don't want you doing this at the minute. And they appealed the case then to the Supreme Court in London, which is the highest authority in British law. So there was about 3-4 days arguments there, back and forward and back and forward. And eventually they come out and upheld everything. The only thing that I didn't like in their case was they didn't say that it has to be an independent investigation, but they said that PSNI or the RUC should have investigated. They were negligent that they didn't investigate it, and there's a cover-up somewhere here. Is there a cover-up of of government ministers? Because this had all come out, but the government ministers knowing about it. So that, and again, if this happened today, it'd be torture. That was in December last year. So we're now in October. Still nothing. No investigation, no word of what they're going to do. And an investigation in the future. So what do we do now, you know? The only talk to this, we'll come back, right, can we not just go straight to Europe now? He said we can, but Europe could take 5 to 10 years. And he said, the age is all now.
Yeah.
There's 5 of the lads dead. One lad is terminally ill at the minute with cancer. Say I'm 75 and been diagnosed with emphysema, lung problem, breathing, fighting times it's hard to get a breath. And they say we're all like, you know, a couple of lads bad hearts, and you know, just so we see a great sense of urgency about it, but I think that this thing's stalled, let it go, let's stall.
Do you think that's the game they're playing?
That's the game they play. They played it all along.
Like the Irish government.
There's inquests happening today on a murder 51 years ago. You know. And the British government stand up through this legacy bill, as they call it, where they're going to just stop everything. You know, no more investigations, no more civil action cases, no more investigations, just if somebody wants to come forward and say, yes, I killed so-and-so or I blew up such and such a place, they'll be granted amnesty on it.
Wow.
You know, so that means everybody's shoulder can step forward, just say, I shot so-and-so on Bloody Sunday and I shot so-and-so on Ballamurphy.
And there's no consequence
No
to it.
consequences, they're granted an amnesty on it. So they were pushing that through
justice.
last year now. There's been a massive, every Irish political party, north and south, have all signed the document. This is wrong. Can't have, from the unions, even Jim Allister said, no, you can't do this. There must be investigations, there must be inquiries, and people who committed serious crime or murder must be brought to heel. So we don't know what stage the legacy bill's at. They were to put it through late last year and then earlier this year and give a first reading or something, and then I don't know how that system works. Still hasn't done anything. So it just, like, there's not a day in the week that passes, there's not somebody in court against the British government, the PSNI or the RUC or the British government over something that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. Every day in the week there's somebody in court fighting this. And Britain's general idea is that we'll all die off, you know. I've instructed my sons and daughter, if I die and this case isn't settled, keep pushing. I know the Bloody Sunday families have done the same, the Ballamurphy families have done the same. The Ballamurphy families get a decision earlier on this year, 50 years after their family members are killed, they get to say these killings were illegal and unlawful, you know. Nobody's been before the courts. In fact, that was the same regiment in Bloody Sunday in Derry. The officers in charge in both Ballamurphy and in Bloody Sunday in Derry all got promotion and got awards. Jackson, I think, has been knighted. Some of them all got awards for what they've done. You know, and they're coming out now with Soldier F. Soldier F was the man who pulled the trigger. But it's the commanding officers who give the instructions, issued the orders. Why are they not in court? I'm not saying Soldier F shouldn't be in court. There should be a lot in court. There's 14 people killed in there.
There's been a chain reaction, there has to be someone that started this contest.
You know, so that's why I find it strange about how wonderful the Queen is on supporting the peace process in Ireland. It's her decorated. The officers in the British Army. You know?
I've started reading up on this stuff, like I started reading your stuff and Sam Miller's stuff, and I'm reading another book, and I'm from the Rugby Brigade and I was born a Catholic, but I just can't help but see the absolute terror that they caused, and the lies and the cheating and the underhandedness and the...
You see, but they've done this the world over.
It seems that way. That's where I'm just looking. This is from a helicopter view and going, these are bent as fuck. Like, you know, there's no justice to, like, I'm not looking at it through my own Catholic eyes. Not that I practice Catholicism, but it's right.
They done it with the Mau Mau in Kenya. There, and 50 odd years later, the Kenyans, 45,000 or 50,000 of them take this case against the British government for torture, imprisonment, rape, murder, the whole lot. And they immediately threw out 45,000 and accept 5,000 cases, because those other 45,000 weren't arrested by the British Army, arrested by the Kenyan police. And they take a case and they're in court, delayed, and then in court, fighting. It's been going on for years. And then all of a sudden somebody informs them there's boxes in Hounslow relating to the Kenyan episode in the Mau Mau. So they immediately go to court and ask for these documents. And there's a big kerfuffle up, and within, I think it's 6 or 8 weeks, the British government agree to issue an apology, erect a statue and a plaque stating all this, and award 19 million. Now the 19 million among them was nothing, but 19 million, I think they intend using the 19 million for education or some sort of a historical thing on it. Cypriots to Aoka in Cyprus, they about 5 or 6 years ago, took their case against the British government. The same terms and conditions: rape, murder, imprisonment and torture. And their case was settled then. They settled their case with the apology and a £1 million donation to do something there, you know. So and I think in our case, I keep thinking this, it's me. It's the people of Ireland who owe an apology for what they've done for centuries, but particularly in the past 50 years. Blatantly done. You see, they got away with it in places like Kenya, Aden, Cyprus, Malaysia, no matter where they were. They done this, and they're only Wogs or Arabs or what, you know. So same here, we've only paddies. But we've not discovered that we just ain't taking it anymore. We're not lying down anymore. We're going to fight this. We're going to use your laws to fight yous. You know, and most of these cases, when they eventually do get to court, they're all successful. As I was saying about every member of my family being in prison, and the only ones who were sentenced was my mother and the 2 youngest, who were 13 and 14 on the morning of interment. When I was my father, by the way, was later on that week. My father wasn't arrested that day, but later on that week, everybody's transferred. The boys are all transferred over to Crumlin Road Jail. So my father rings up the jail to make an arrangement to visit. Get a visit to see me, and he's not here. You know, oh, he is, but he's right. Sorry, he's not here. So he starts making inquiries. The British Army know nothing about me, the RUC know nothing, nobody knows anything about me. And the same with a lot of people. So somebody actually says to my father, Mr. Mc Guigan, there was somebody down in the morgue yesterday and there's a body there and they think it resembles your Francie. My father went to the morgue on a Friday, and he said it wasn't me, because there was bodies being found and nobody had identified yet. So on the Saturday, a local politician at the time, Vivian Simpson, who's a member of the Labour Party, called to the house and said, I'm going to help you find out where he is. I'm coming down here in the morning, I'm going to go down to Tennant Street Barracks with you and I'm going to kick up Mary Hell. So fair enough, the man turned up on the Saturday morning, took my father down to Tennant Street Barracks, into the barracks, and he's there laying down the law to this copper behind the desk looking for instructions. The special branch come in, John, the very man, Mum. So they arrest my father there, bring him down and put him in Crumlin Road Jail and intern him.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So, I say, and at that stage the only 2 left in the house were younger brother and sister, because all the other lads were hiding, getting out of the way.
Yeah.
So the social welfare tried to take the young brother and sister in the car. So the neighbours don't know. Then they went to friends of mummy's, some mummy's relatives in England, but didn't like it in England, so they came back home. And the neighbours looked after them until mummy got out. So I was talking to somebody recently, and they were saying, but life's come back to normal here now, has it? How's your own life? How do you find a normal life? I don't have it. I don't know what normal life is. I say I could be grand now for the next month, or I could flip this evening.
Yeah.
After going through this, after you left, now I could be sitting here and just start to go over it all again.
Yeah, that's where I'm sitting here going, like, as you were telling me that story, I kind of, my heart was pounding, going, Jesus Christ, I'm reliving this with you. What's that like to talk about that again? How does that feel?
I think it has to be talked about.
It's horrific for me sitting there, I can only imagine what it's like for you.
It has to be talked about because
Absolutely.
it happened, and there has to be an end to it. And there's times I feel great after talking about it, and I feel I've got it off my chest, and other times it just destroys me. Because there's times I believe I'm back there. There's other times I know I'm not back there, but it doesn't make any damn difference.
Your body doesn't know the difference.
You're still going through the whole thing. I remember when eventually took us back and flew us into Crumlin Road, flew us into Girtwood Barracks again in a helicopter, hooded, and lifted you out of the helicopter and sat on the ground, took the handcuffs off and took the hood off. But as they're taking the hood off, they're saying to you, look straight ahead and you're going to see a hole in the wall. Walk through that hole. You go up there with it and do not, under any circumstances, look behind you. Do not look back. So I took the hood off and the handcuffs off. In the meantime, they gave me a pair of runners and a vest and a sweater or something along my own trousers and that. So I do that and go through this, and I see a police jeep there and 3 or 4 policemen. And they actually helped me to get into the back of the jeep. And I noticed a lad sitting in the corner in this jeep. I don't know this lad, but I was saying, what the mother of Christ happened to him? But instead of that, turned out it was a fellow called Brian Turley. Brian had seen me hitting men and said, good God, what happened to him? I thought Brian looked 10 times worse than I did, and vice versa. You know, you just, at that stage, you realise, I don't think at that stage I'm going to be killed now. So you have a sense of relief for something, and I'm free, that's all stopped now. I'm just going to jail, and you're nearly looking forward to getting into jail. See, that sort of thing. But I remember whenever I did get into the jail, it turned out I had 3 fractured ribs. I had no skin on 3 inches of my wrist. The handcuffs, you're fighting against the handcuffs, I am swinging on them. And the insteps of my feet, skin gone off the insteps of my feet, would have been dragged along corridors. The ribs are grand, that's healed up as you can see, but it's all still in here somewhere, you know. And there's this fucking peculiar habit of coming out every now and again, and
Oh God, I can understand that.
destroys you, and just when it happens, you know.
Did you say you went to jail? Where did you go to the cash or anything like that? Were you ever in the cash?
Oh, I was in the case. But it took us at that stage into Crumlin Road Jail, and in Crumlin Road jail's just coming chock-a-block, too many, so. There are no British Army base out in Long Cash. So they started to bring us out there. They brought out about 170 or 174 or something out in the forest. I flew them from Crumlin Road Jail out to Long Cash. And they done that all in one day or something, I think, just helicopters in and out. So then I was in the second group to go out. And into the helicopter, which I had this absolute fear of. So again, you're not handcuffed or hooded this time, John. How they got down there's RUC men and British Army there. And then the Long Cash, and brought up, do the same in all jails, they've done it in the Crumb, into the governor. The governor lays down all the rules and tells you what's all what, and have you any questions, and I remember cheekily saying, yes, what's the best way out of here? Being a smart ass, and he said, there's only one way out, son, that's through the front gate. And I then, that was in October, I then left through the front gate in February, the Sunday after Bloody Sunday, dressed as a priest. And I remember,
You escaped?
remember the first things I done when I got as far as Dublin was get a postcard of a scene in Donegal, Governor Long Cash. And we know that, thank you, you were right. The front gate, the only way out.
Oh, fucking brilliant.
And posted it to him. I assume he got it, or I would assume, but somebody got it anyway because it was delivered.
How did you get out?
Dressed as a priest.
Give us some background. What did
It was on a Sunday. It was a Sunday after Bloody Sunday, and the whole place like was down, as you can imagine. Because there was Derry lads in the cage with us and that. And so, priest come in to say mass, and I'm on the way down to the window of the hut where the mass is said, and I hears this voice shouting, Francie, Francie. And I turn around in the wire cage, and there's a priest I know from Ardoyne, whom I knew well. Come here, he says, I thought I was going into your cage. He says, but they sent me to cage 4. He says, I had a spare dog collar. He says, I don't know where it's any good or not, but so-and-so has it in cage 4, if you can get it of him. So I remember looking, and at that stage there had been a big shortage of screws. So I started to bring them into England and Scotland, Englishmen and Scotsmen. And I had noticed about an hour earlier that the 2 boys, this whole thing's surrounded by wire the cage you're in.
Yeah.
But there's this sort of wee gateway at the start of it, and you go into one, there's like a lock section.
Yeah.
You go into one section and that has to be locked before they'll open it.
Like we do with banks now.
So I'm passing there and 2 Englishmen, or an Englishman and a Scotsman. I don't know what they are, but I know they're not the regular screws.
Yeah.
These boys wouldn't have a clue who I am. So I goes up and says, the priest brought up a present for me from the family, and so has it in cage 4, would you go across it and get it for me? And he goes, aye. So he goes over and gets this wee brown paper bag and brings it back and hands it to me. And the priest says, grand, and he goes on. So I go into the hut for mass, and it gets a hold of Kevin Hanaway, who's in charge of the escape committee. Out. So, what's the crack? And I said, got a dog collar. We'll give it a try. So get the escape committee together. We decided who's going to go with draw straws. So I couldn't just, no, I should be going against mine. I draw straws. So draw the straws. Sean Keenan from Derry, who's an Earl hand, draws a short straw. Sean said, the problem is I can't drive. So draw it again, I draw the short straw. And in the meantime, they have finished mass, and the priest comes down, and some of the boys goes to the priest and says, how do you get in here, Father? Like, do you drive in or you get a bus? No, drive in, and cars parked. Where's your car parked, Father? So the priest is sort of tipples immediately. Gives all the necessary information. The keys, he says, are in this coat. I must take this, 'cause it's very warm, take this coat off. He hung it up somewhere. He says then, somebody better lock me away somewhere. So they bring down what we call the drying hut. We have to be all right in there, Father. And you bring you around a cup of tea. But like, he's supposed to be kidnapped. So he does that. So we get the dog collar, black trousers. We're looking for a black gear, and I didn't even get a black, sort of an anorak type thing or something. Couldn't get a black jacket. Do all that. I had reasonably long hair at that stage. My father was the barber in the jail, you see. So my father's in one of the other huts, just we were in cage 3, my father's in the hut 1. So we get my dad up, Dad need a haircut. It's a Sunday, they went, Dad, a haircut now. Alright. He goes away and cuts my hair. In the meantime, the boys are going around gearing up all this stuff, you see. So, pair of glasses. So get me these glasses. forget the last name, I had the glasses. Anyway, I reckon he should have had a white stick on with the glasses. Like runs to the bottom of the bottle. So there's not too many know about what's happening. There's about 7 or 8 of us are aware of what's happening. So normally when a priest's leaving, you see 2 or 3 of the lads will go up to the gate with him. And now go and see me mommy and tell me that, and go and see me Aunt Mary and tell her this, and would you give that wee cross to so and so. And so the priest's always taking something out with him, you see. And they very seldom search whatever the priest's taken out. I have stuff in this wee shopping bag type thing, wee plastic bag. So the boys are all there, and one of them hits the priest leaving now, so they opened up the first lock. So I can, the only thing I know, head for 1 o'clock. That's it, it's about 400 yards away, 1 o'clock. So they opened the second one, then God bless them, the boys, and I started heading off to 1 o'clock. So it's up to 1 o'clock. And there's this gate there. It's a hut here. It's a constructed hut, like and I know this isn't part of the prison. So I bang this cage, and this screw comes over and opens the gate, and takes me in, locks it, and goes to the next one, dump the next one. Now he's thumped it about 5 or 6 times, nothing happened. He says, it's very probably in the canteen. He said, we'll go through the canteen. So out we go, and he opens this again, opens this for the canteen.
You must have been shitting, weren't you?
The canteen's about here, that, see that building across the street there, that length?
Yeah.
And it's full of screws. All screws. And I have a quick look around, and I recognise half the screws, so they're going to recognise me, but my hair's short, and I've glasses on, I'm dressed like a priest. And I'm walking down through this hut with this screw. And I'm having this conversation with the screw. I can't tell you what it was about. The only thing I do remember saying to him, any word, this is Sunday after Bloody Sunday, there's a big march in Uri. And I remember saying to him, any word from Uri, I hope everything goes quiet at Uri. There's no trouble at Uri. So me and him's walking down this hut. And we get to the far end, he says, there you are now. And I said, I don't know where I am, where's my car? Oh, he's just come on round, I'll go round with you. He said, what's your car? So I tell him the car. He says, there's your car there. So I go over and open the door, get into the car and start the car. And there's a column change in the car. I've never driven a column change. So I'm trying to find reverse, because it's up against the wall. So every time I stop, it's going forward, then I'm panicking, like, I'm shit scared out. So all of a sudden there's a rap at the window. So I looks round. Black soldier sits in the window there. He said, you can up to the front gate, Father. And I said, yeah, so can I have a lift? I said, I don't know how to get reverse gear in this. Oh, he says, I know. I said, well, you reverse it out for me. So I step out of the car, he hands me his SLR rifle, and he steps, and I'm looking at the rifle, looking at the soldier and going, no, it wouldn't work. So he reversed the car out, faced it to go up, and I think about 800-900 yards to go to the gate. So he says, can my 2 mates come with me? So they're heading around the side, so no problem, you get in. So the 2 boys get in the back and he sits in the front of me. So it's dark at this stage. It's February and it's about 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the evening. It's dark, so it lights the car. And the distance, not too far away, maybe about 150 yards away, I notice this drop barrier and a wee hut, and the main gates are about 50 yards beyond that. So the soldier says, he let us out here. He said, we shouldn't be taking lifts. So I let him out, and he's thanking me, and then God blessing him. And they go walking, and I'm driving slowly up to this, and I'm looking at this drop barrier. It's one of these drop barriers like that. And I'm looking at the front gates. And I'm saying, if it hardly comes to hardly, I'll just put the floor of it and go through, because the gates are made out of angle iron with, you know, not the strongest looking thing in the world. So I'm seriously debating, like, if it turns out a bit funny, I'll just put the foot down, up the drop barrier. The soldier comes over to me and he says, "Can I have your pass?" I says, "What pass?" Oh, he says, "The pass you got coming." I said, "I didn't get a pass coming in here." Oh, he says, "You did." I said, "Were you there? Did you see me getting a pass?" "I never got a pass. I've been coming in here for months and I've never got a pass yet." Oh, he says, "Well, I'm told everybody comes in gets a pass." He said, "I'm going to have to see." He says, "I don't know who you are." And at that, the three soldiers are walking past, you see, the big black soldier, and he says, "He knows me."
You said to him?
I said, pointing at the bag, "He knows me." I don't know where it came from. And then he called it a bit, said, "Do you know?" He says, "Oh, he's the wee priest, he's in saying mass for them boys. He's here regular." So your man cautions me and warns me, "The next time you come back in, you make sure you get a pass." And I said, "If I have to go through this again, don't you worry, next time I'm back in here, I'm getting a pass." So he lifts the drop barrier and the front gates start to open. Now I don't know whether the road goes dead straight, left, right, or you're on a roundabout or what happens. So I come out and it's just a road with T junction, so I go left. I know the place is just outside Lisburn somewhere, so I head back into Lisburn, get onto the motorway. So I'm constantly looking around me and I don't know, and at this stage they put ramps up on the road. You know where you see ramps now?
Yeah.
But these were security ramps they're putting up and they weren't straight across, they were diagonal. When they got across the road. So I'm driving and trying to look around me to see can I get somewhere to recognise something that and hit one of these ramps and really put the car in the ditch, pull it back, and when I discovered Lisburn, so driving up Main Street in Lisburn, and I know there's a RUC station up there with the British soldiers and that in it, because the headquarters of the British Army are not too far away from here. So I'm driving up the Main Street in Lisburn. Again, two eyes are on the barracks. They have the tipple yet into the know and what have you, so I'm watching that and hit a ramp again. Nearly good. So then I get away with that again, get onto the motorway, and I'm stopped twice in the motorway by the UDR. Where you're coming from and where you're going. So I explained to my priest, I'm coming after saying mass to the boys in Duncash, at the same mass now in St John's at 7 o'clock and I'm running late. Away you go. I turned up at the house, I knew the people that I'd stay in the house regular.
Yeah.
So I just pulled the car up, like maybe 100 yards away from the house. Went up and it's usually in the back door of the house, you see, and the kids are down. So where's your mummy and daddy? They're in the front room. So I would treat this house like my own, just opened the door and walked in, you see. And now there's visitors in. And the woman that owned the house, big Pat. Pat was a big lump of woman, you see. She looks up. I'd taken my glasses off, by the way, at this stage. Took him off on the motorway. Pat looks up. Jesus, Francie, and she jumps up and she jumps on top of me and knocks me down. And the husband, Henry's small, wee, light built fella, and Henry says, "All right, Pat knows the priest well, we'll be in a minute." So, "What's the score?" So tell him, and I said, "Henry, there's the keys. Father parks cars down there, go and take them, put it up in St John's. Just park it there and leave the keys in her." So he does that. I said, "And then go tell so and so that I'm here and see what the score is." So he went and gets a hold of somebody and put him back, you see. So a couple of people right around me and say, "Right, what's the score?" And boom, boom, boom. I says, "Somebody go up and tell my ma. That'll escape, so that's no problem." To do that. In the meantime, whoever goes up there doing to inform my mother, drive up, discover my mother's not in, she's up in Tyrone visiting her brother. So he goes and tells the woman next door. He goes out and tells everybody. So because Martin Megan and Dutch Doherty and Hughie McCann escaped out of the Crumb, that too, and then the boys had escaped off the Maidstone. You see, there's all these escapes. Every time there's an escape, there's whole celebrations and they're out in the late bonfires and they sing songs in the street. So they start dissing her down, you see. And the boys in the jail are keeping it hush hush. And they actually get a dummy and build up a dummy and put it in the bed in what we call the old hands hut. You know, the people in their mid-50s up. Because there's less attention paid to them. And one of the boys out of that, the youngest man down there, is down in my bed. So that goes on anyway. Then take me and get me this house to stay in, and there's a note to give to the woman. she'll not be there when you go up, she'll be in about 9 o'clock. So I go up and at 9 o'clock the door opens, the woman was in, I handed a note, you say, the role explains to her, oh, congratulations, put on the news and watch about this. Don't knew nothing on the news about it. Watch the news at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Not a dicky word in the news. I said, well, you don't know yet, you might not tell yet. So anyway, the next morning, the Monday morning, was the lead up to this too, which is interesting. At that stage, we weren't taking visits because we were doing a strip search for the visits. You see, I'm basically against prison protests because I think you only inflict suffering on yourself. You know, doesn't it? It makes our life easier. So, as I said anyway, we're not taking visits. Or we'll go up to take a visit, but don't let them strip search you, see. It's bollocks, like. Let them, I said, see when you're in the visiting box, take your clothes off and have your visit. That puts the end of the hassle of what do they do now? Like, you know, they've taken your clothes off, they've redressed you, and now you've taken them on, what are they going to do? You know, quit. No, nobody would do it, you see. I had no business book, so I could say whatever I wanted. So the Friday morning, that's the Friday before, I'm in the hut about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Francie Mc Guigan, visit. I said, who, for me, who's the visitor? $1 Price, one of the Price sisters, so the boys immediately, big mouth, you do it. You step off the strip search and then throw your fucking clothes up and you get into the hut. So, what can we do? So up I go. Up and it's just to the left hand side of 1 o'clock. So I go up there and into this sort of an office they have and screws all that right and take your clothes off to the searchy. Just grand. And they're all going like, I immediately took off all my clothes, you see. Big pair of boots that come up there, these tan boots that go up to there. Take them off, socks off. And they're all just in the pat down the clothes like, and have a quick let me get dressed again. So I get dressed and they're taking me out and out into the corridor and they're sending down the corridor, $1 Price from, did you fucking let them strip search and $1? I'll that explain to you. So we went to the visiting booth and visiting booth is small, like there's a wee table between us. So I'm doing as I'm explaining to Dolores what has happened, I start taking off the clothes. Dolores, good idea. So she starts to say. So the screw comes along and opens, what are you doing? I close the door, we're having a visit. Get the fuck out of here, you bastard, you get out. But you can't do that. I can't do what you can take them off, but I can't. Oh fuck it up. You know, so I take my clothes up, you see, man said, you have to get dressed again, so I throw my clothes out the window. Doors keep doors on the table. So the next thing the door busts up and then come about 5 screws and grip me and take me out. And the only thing I've left are these big pair of boots up there, you see. Not a stitch. So I go up and they're totally confused, like they don't know what to do about this. So take your boots off. Fuck yourself, I'm not taking the boots off. You're in governor's report for this. Fuck you and your governor. So but I have to walk back up with this 400 yards, these pair of boots and nothing else. And of course all the boys out shouting and screaming and slagging and bantering. So I get up and get dressed again anyway, but on the Monday morning then after I'd escaped, screw comes down about 9:30 in the morning, it turns out, into the hut. It's Francie Mc Guigan here, he's governor's report. Somebody went, no he's not here, not in the hut. She's out, he's in all the huts. No, he's not here. So everybody's starting to wonder, you see. It's on governor's report, he has to be here somewhere. He's in the toilet there, I think he's been sick all night. So Kevin Hanaway goes into the toilet and Kevin's sitting there and screams up and raps the toilet door. And Francie, your governor, you come up to see the governor. What doing your governor? I'm not too, I'm sick, I'm always as sick as a dog all night. They'll be up in an hour. Call back in an hour and say I'm all right. So the screw goes away, it comes back in an hour, you see. So, no. But in the meantime, somebody has got word from Ardoyne that there's a bonfires and singing songs and all in the big chain because Francie Mc Guigan escaped from Long Cash. So this person rings a journalist that she knows and says, can you confirm that Francie Mc Guigan escaped from Long Cash? He's fucking no we've heard nothing. And she said he did. So the journalist brings the cash to get the story and is told, no, nobody escaped out of here. He said, I think you better check. Francie Mc Guigan from Ardoyne escaped out of there yesterday. So 2 and 2 is 4. Can't get him for governor's report. So back up to come. Everybody out of the huts up against the wire. As your name's called, step forward. So call out the first name, everybody steps forward. So then in comes Pio Wolf and just walks up and down the lane. Nods his head, no, he's not here. In the meantime, the screws are searching all the huts and the water tower. They're searching everywhere, you see. And all the boys and the other kids are wondering what's going on, you see. Because they can't find out like what's going on, you have to get this information. See, they shout upon it, what's happening, you see, and somebody shouts back, Mc Guigan escaped last night. So there's pandemonium in the place, eh? So that lifted the whole spirits of the boys up after bloody Sunday and that. So that was how that happened.
Wow, Francie, that's some fucking story. Like your time, you know, your difficulty, and the hooded man, and you know the escape, and the one thing I'm hearing through it all, your resolve, your strength of character, the humour in it. The same as when I read Sam Miller's book. There's an inner steel it's undeniable. It's like,
and what they don't realise, they strengthen it for you.
I hear that, like even in moments where you think someone will fall apart, it actually catapulted you forward. It even grew your resilience. It built it.
Does it? It's strange, but at time like when, as I say, when you should be folding, you're going, oh fuck this. No.
Yeah. No. As a man, I'm sitting going, man, would I just fucking fall apart? It's an incredible story.
But then, after I did get out and came to Dublin, I went through this phase of not sleeping. Or I would sleep for 21 hours without a break. And could do that 4 or 5 days in a row. And then go through a period of not sleeping. So, Dr. O'Connell, he's dead since, dead 30 years dead now. Dr. knew a doctor who was St. Brenton's Psychiatric Hospital in Dublin, used to be up somewhere, well, in the back of Hanlon's Corner, somewhere up about there anyway.
The Grange Gorman.
That could be it. So he knew a psychiatrist in there, you see. And there was a load of psychiatrists then, all wanted to talk to me. Because of the hooded treatment, the first one I'm going to get a chance at. But this one is sound and knows the whole score, you see, so go up there and go in, and the first thing they bring in for a medical examination and take a blood sample. And shortly after take the blood sample, go back with this injection in my arm. He said, you know, what's that? It's in case you're anemic. I said, build your blood back up. No injection. But we'll have to do this. No, you don't. So that lady doctor grips me arm. And bang. So, fucking place in the door then. So, I forget it. The doctor's name was, first name was Brandon. Forget his second. He's dead since. He was killed about 6 months later. Going out to get a Chinese. Somebody drove from the side of his car and killed him. But he comes in and settled down, you're all right. Look, you know you're uptight and tense and that, but that was all right. But you're not sticking needles. He said, no, right, no problem at all. So he gets me settled down, and a colleague of his then comes in, and at least 40 questions they give you on a sheet of paper. walking down the street and you see two men fighting, what do? Stand and watch, walk on, or go and separate them. You take whichever one you want, you see. So, that these and they said, there's no rush, take your time, do them at your own pace, there's no rush, not under any pressure, at your own pace, you see. So I'm down about 4 questions, you see, and they're all similar to that, you know. And are you near finished? No. Oh, you're right, there's no panic, no problem. So after about another 4 or 5 questions, then, how you getting on? Have you many more to do? There's 40 of these, you see. No, I take fuck you, your question. He said, it's all right, no, just take the rest of them off, or just at your own pace. So I don't want him asking him when they're finished. No, he'll not ask you again, so I finished that, and then they take me in and talk to me and ask me questions, and it takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So there's only one wee thing we want you to do before you're finished, and it's the last thing. I want to take you into this wee room, and we're going to put sound on you, and put these things like, do you ever get an ECG test, and they put all these on you and staples, and bring me in this, and I'm looking at this thing, it's like a cockpit of an airplane, all these lights and dials and all of it, and wired up, and a pair of headphones. And they explained to me, we're just monitoring you here, that's what all this for, just to monitor you. But see, every time them 2 lines there go level, push this wee button, the best thing in the world. And if you make a mistake, you get a wee bleep through your ear. Bleep. It was just a wee bleep. You got that? I said, no, that's gone. She said, but only do that in the last 10 minutes. If you make a mistake in the last 10 minutes, this will take you about a half an hour. So I'm there anyway, doing this, and these lights are going that way, and this one here, and they're going all red, and then they go green, and just all this happening, you see, so you're trying to concentrate, you're pushing this button. And so it comes to the last 10 minutes, and it's announced 10 minutes. So as soon as you say 10 minutes, I hit the buzzer and get the bleep, and this fucking bleep goes through you. So this goes on, so I'm cracked at this stage, I'm just keeping putting the bleeps going on. Fuck this, good. Rip the whole lot off, I'm getting out of here. So I go out, and I go to open the door. Can't open the door. Then he's fucking locked in. So I proceed to kick the door down. And eventually they catch me at the far end, these 3 or 4 boys catch me, and he just let me in, and didn't let you in, and he says the door opens and you were trying to open it.
Oh, wow.
So he gets a hold of me and says, I'll be seeing O'Connell in the morning, he says, and I'll have a talk with him, he says, and he'll go on to chat with you. End result was on the verge of both a health and mental breakdown. Under no circumstances go back north until we clear you again. So that was it. And we never got an official, a written report, and that was just done verbally because it was done off the record sort of thing. And that was the first time I noticed that everything wasn't right. You know. And but you get this thing of denial. No, that wouldn't affect me. Wouldn't affect me.
Because we can't see it.
I remember a doctor in Dublin, Dr. Kelly, lived in Griffith Avenue. And I don't know whatever happened between him and me, but I never explained to him that things weren't right with me and don't know what's causing it. And so he got me counselling. He gave me a tablet called Seroxat to take. And it turned, they're banned on the market now, but these Seroxat tablets drove people mad, people committed suicide, people committed murder. There's one case, like, the case that brought it all to their attention was a grandfather who killed his 3 grandchildren and his daughter. And this had been a very quiet, humble man, just totally out of character, so checking all up with Seroxat, and then there was all these other cases, people committing suicide or murder or killing or battering or something totally out of character, and the one common denominator in all was Seroxat. So he put me in the Seroxat, I remember I'm driving to Belfast one day, and before the motorway was all finished, and I'm about 2 miles outside Balbriggan, and all of a sudden I started to get dizzy and the whole thing's all spinning around, so I pulled the car into the side of the road. Jesus, what was that? So I get out of the car and walk around. I'm grand now. I don't know, just some sort of wee turn. Get in the car and drive 100 yards, same thing again. Wow. So eventually I told him I'm not going to Belfast, I turned the car around and had to stay up to get back to the doctors. It took me from about 3 miles the Dublin side of Balbriggan down to Griffith Avenue. Took me an hour and a half stopping and dizzy spells, and I realised I should have been driving, but what the hell else am I going to do? So eventually I go in and tell him, and I'm telling him what's happened. He says, you stopped taking your tablets, didn't you? And I said, I run out of them on Thursday, and if I get a script, I won't get it the Tuesday. He said, no, that's not wrong. He says, that's the way these tablets will affect you. And you're on them. Took me 2.5 years to get off them. Now, I attended the counselling in Dublin on and off for about 2 years, and was never quite truthful with the counsellor. When I went back to Belfast, I remember going through a real bad patch and went to my own doctor here, whom I knew sort of well, Seamus McHugh, and told Seamus what all it was. And Seamus wanted to put me in tablets, you know, I'm not taking fucking tablets. After the syrup said, I'm not taking them. So he said, look, he says, you're suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. He says, I can't diagnose that. He says, that's the psychiatrist diagnoses that. He says, but I've seen enough cases of it to know. He said, that's what it is, he says. If you won't take tablets, the only thing I can do is recommend counselling. So he recommended counselling. So I've done the first session of counselling, and again, didn't tell the counsellor the full story. And sent an nurse, and this other counsellor for some reason just let me open up, and he opened up, told the whole thing. So at about 1.5 years or 2 years counselling with this, times had come out of the counselling feeling great, and other times had come out feeling worse. There was a friend of mine who had a daughter committed suicide, who needed psychiatric help, needed counselling, that didn't get it because of the waiting list or delays or whatever it is. And I was saying, that's it, I can get counselling, and there's a child commits suicide, you know. So I stopped the counselling. And then another doctor, my own doctor retired, and then another doctor came in, and again having a bad time, I was talking to her, and she said, there's nothing on your records. On your record, and I said, no. I told Seamus not to put it on because I didn't want every time I come to the doctors think, oh, he's having a breakdown, or he's gone off the head or something. So I said, look, I'll talk to you, but again, the condition, don't put it in my medical record. I don't want this in my medical records. So she didn't. Again, she insisted on counselling, and she said, all we can do for you is counselling. So I'm back to counselling again. Done about another 5 or 6 sessions of counselling. And again, we're steady opening up to the counsellor. But in the interim with that, we hadn't seen each other since we were in jail. And it's coming up to 40 years. So there was a lad in Oregon, Jim Michael Murray. And I got to know Jim, and a couple of us got to know Jim. And a couple of lads from Oregon and that were who that as well. One man from Oregon, a couple of them Portadown. So he said, look, it's coming up to 40 years, how about get a reunion? Get this all the guys. I don't know where. He said, look, he said, I know there's someone in Derry's, but the rest of them, he says, it's only a small, he says, I know somebody in every county, I would know somebody else. He said, leave it to me and I'll organise that. So fair enough, we got in touch with everybody and organised a date, and we all turned up. And we'd laughed and joked and cried and fought and that there. And we used to meet regular then. And then you started to notice some of the boys telling about having a bad time, but they never admitted it before, me included, like. Slowly but surely started to come out and discovered that each and every one of us had. One lad spent 3 months in a psychiatric hospital in Dublin. And then the legal team wanted a psychiatric report and us all. I was the only one who would agree to do a psychiatric report, and I got it right in the 11 day late out of me. But the rest of the lads didn't want, and I couldn't understand that. I thought it was important to get psychiatric reports because this thing has a lasting effect, as we all know, because every one of us have admitted it. That we go through rough times at that. No. But I think it was just that thing about psychiatric. But I remember shortly after escaping, I married and was living in Dundalk, and I had something like 15 or 16 requests from psychiatrists from all over the world to talk to me.
Fucking right.
I spoke to 3 or 4 of them now at the time. I don't know what their reports ever were, you know, they don't, it was none of them English or Irish. Though there was an Irish doctor that the Irish government hired. But he come up and interviewed me, but never told me what this was in relation to the case for Europe. But never told me about the European court. None of us knew about it. The other thing that happened at that stage too, Father Fall, a priest, who I knew well, arrived at my house one night and handed me a envelope. That's for you, right? Yeah, there's a cheque for 11,500 quid. What's this? He says, that's your case against the British government. He says, that's for the torture you went through. And I said, who done that? He says, Chris Napier says. I said, I didn't ask him to do it. He said, no, he just done it anyway. Everybody's taking a case. Kevin Honey was the same. Kevin never instructed anybody, and Kevin got 12,000 or something. And we're all given an award on condition that that was it. No responsibility accepted and no further action. But it turns out that's nonsense, like you can go ahead. So that's about it. So that's normal life for me.
Wow. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look, first of all, thanks very much for sharing your vulnerability,
No.
your strength, your courage, your humour, in service of finding justice for the hooded men, for the 14 of you.
Well, not only for us. You see, you had, if you go over, you had Polisparix, you had Girtwood, where in March 72, that's 6 months after we went through it, or 7 months, Ted Heath got up in Parliament in Westminster, said these 5 techniques will never be used again. Never been used again. Now, everybody talks about the 5 techniques, there was 6. They're just simply not the bollocks of this.
Yeah, you missed that part.
So what they done then, Polisparix and Girtwood and all the different places, they just use 1 or 2 of the techniques plus number 6. You know, and the boys in for 7 days, and that's the done. Like, was this one thing that frightened me, though I never went through it. They bring them into a wee small cubicle, and there's a perforated sheet of what I take to, what do you call this stuff? But it's painted like a silver paint on it, but it's full of holes. Holes, it's a sheet of stuff, forget the name of it. And you're sitting thinking, you couldn't do that with your elbows because you'd hit the wall on the other side. You're sitting in a chair, and the door closed up in this chair, and you're staring at this wall, and everybody was in there, said you could see all these holes moving. You know, because you're looking at them and you're conscious, and you could see this all moving, all these holes moving around and different. And again, that was a form of psychological torture. It's not only for us that went through that, but the like of them boys, and then for people across the world. Guantanamo Bay and Abu Ghraib and the black sites, you know. I met somebody now who was in Guantanamo Bay for 2 years, you know. Muslim Beg, I think his name is. You know, and what they went through, you know. And there's a film out, if you ever get a chance to come across, I don't know where you can get it now or where you can see it, called Eminent Monsters. And it starts in Canada with a Scots doctor called Ewan Cameron, who's a psychiatrist. Then he's up head of the World Psychiatry Association and all that. But when American and British prisoners of war come back from Korea and they're being debriefed, they find out most of these soldiers broke and told their interrogators everything they wanted to know. And what sort of beating did you get? Never didn't beat us, didn't put a hand on us, you know. So psychological thing, so they go to Cameron, who's an acknowledged psychiatrist, so he starts this thing and he does it, he stops people down, puts the earphones on, plays the one thing through the earphones just non-stop, and a lot of pre-suggestion into this, and drives people mad doing this. This is financed by the CIA and the Canadian government. And then a lot of things that happened there turn out in Abu Ghraib, black sites, and Guantanamo. So there's a Scots lad, Stephen Bennett, does documentaries. He's doing this starting this documentary, the connection between Cameron and Canada and what happened in Abu Ghraib that they're in there. And when he's doing this, somebody says, but sure, what about the hooded men in Ireland in the middle of it all? So he says, who are they, what are they, you know? So he comes over and talks to us and said, this is just amazing. He says, looking at it all nice, he says, you were just guinea pigs. They're trying it out in use to see how it works. There's a fellow called John McGuffin who was internally, I think he wrote a book called The Guinea Pigs, and it's on that. But that was Stephen's reaction until he says, you were all guinea pigs to see what ways to react and how it would go on and how it affect and how they have taken it, what they've done to use and then perfected it and changed it and altered it and using all these black sites.
Jesus Christ. I'm mindful of the time, Francie. What's the one thing you would like people to take away after listening to this interview from you?
What Britain has done in Ireland, not just in this period of time, but throughout its history. I think we as a race of people are apologetic by nature. Like if you bump into somebody in the supermarket, just touch them, like your elbow touches, sorry, you know, and you do that instinctively. I think we have this thing of too willing to forgive. You know, the Irish government now, they're starting to rebuild this trust with the British government, you know. I have no trust whatsoever in British governments. The Irish government have to realise this and they go through all this bullshit of going through this and being nice with each other and publicly being nice and being nice behind the scenes now. Knowing what Britain has done now, knowing that they're bringing in this legacy thing that's going to stop inquests, going to stop investigations into murders. You know, that's just it. But if a British soldier stands up and says, no, I shot 3 people on Bloody Sunday or shot 2 people dead in Ballinmurphy and that was in such and such a date and that. They're granted amnesty. They can never be prosecuted for it. But I think their main case is, on the legacy bill, and I've always said this, a regiment of the British Army, under the command of senior officers, murders civilians in cold blood in the street, as they did in Ballinmurphy and the Bloody Sunday in Derry. It's a war crime. I think a country that takes citizens and tortures them, it's a war crime. So I think Britain's thing with this is they've committed war crimes in Ireland, but they don't want them. They want it scrubbed, you know. I want to see Britain in the dock for torture and murder in Ireland. They've done it the world over. And the case, as I said, Kenyan settled with an apology, the statue and the declaration that Britain was wrong. And the same with the Oka people there. But everybody seems to just ignore it. Now they apologise, that's all right. They apologise for bloody Sunday, you know. Boris Johnson apologised for the murders in Ballymurphy, you know, and should have read this out and set it down and then went on to talk about something else. You know, it's like me bumping into you in the supermarket, sorry, you know. I think Britain must be brought to book for the war crimes in Ireland. You know, she's done it the world over. You read the histories, I don't know where it is now, but the Pat Finucane Centre in Derry and Armagh put out this the colonial past and the name 8 places that were colonised by the Brits, and what they done there is similar to what they done in Ireland. You know, and they got away with it. Just got away with it. Afghanistan and Iraq. There's the whole thing there now about, there's a couple of programs on, but I've never followed up. They want all these fictitious claims of British soldiers killing innocent civilians. It's fictitious claims, but they're not investigating them. Documentary BBC Two there recently. This thing was done by the Panorama programme, which is fairly open. And they said that the Brits were killed. That's Stephen Bennett that was telling you about, done that thing called Eminent Monsters. He done a documentary. There's a British soldier who shot and killed an Afghan. Was it an Afghan or in Iraq? I think it was Afghanistan. Shot and killed him because he'd been wounded and got a 10-year sentence or something. Just uproar about this and kicked up in the British Army, so eventually they put it back and the sentence was scrubbed and he got out. Stephen done a documentary on it, and I remember talking to him about it, you know, and the one thing that didn't come out in the documentary was the name of the poor bastard that was shot. Talked about this British soldier and his family and his wife and all around him, and not to mention just this Afghan that was just shot dead, you know. Didn't say who he was he married, had he a family, had he children? You know, was his mother and father still alive? You know. Wow. It's just that it was mentioned in that, and it's this whole case about this soldier and how some people think he deserved to get off and other people think no, he should have got life plus 20 years, you know. Wow. So it's that whole thing of not only Britain does it, America does it, they all do it, you know, the powers that be do it, you know. Russia and Ukraine at the minute, and I actually think that's the Russian America and NATO war, and they just happen to fight it in Ukraine. You know.
Well, Francie, I'm absolutely enamoured to sit here and share the story. So thanks very much.
No, pleasure.
I really appreciate you. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much. Guys, wow, what a story, what a man. Look, if anything of that story today triggered you, please share it with family and friends. It was an incredible story. It's an incredible story, incredibly sad, but beautiful to see a man so resilient and so strong to come through such a life-changing event. I'm blown away. I hope you get just, Francie, for the people of Ireland and your hooded men. All our episodes are brought to you by Noel Riley from Rooney Media Graphics, Shannon's Hopeline, all the people in the Liberties. Thanks very much. Share this with family and friends. Share Francie's story. You're not just sharing his story, you're sharing 14 other people's and other people around the world that have never got their cases heard. Thanks very much. Share this with family and friends. Subscribe. Have a fantastic day. Mind your little self. Take care.
I will run, I will climb, I will soar. I'm undefeated. Oh, jumping out of my skin, pull the cord. Yeah, I believe it. Oh, the past is everything we were. Don't make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is stars. It's not until you fall that you fly. When your dreams come alive, you're unstoppable. Take a shot, chase the sun, find the beautiful. We will glow in the dark, turning dust to gold, and we'll dream